Well, welcome back to another episode of Memories of Margaret, where the life and legacy of Margaret Curl will be shared through stories of her love for Christ and all people. I'm your host, Martha Sue French. I am also the youngest of 6 children of Howard and Margaret Curl. Now, I'm excited today that we have another guest, a grandchild of Margaret, who just happens to be my son, TJ Percell. Now, today's episode and poem is entitled The Spiller. And as you may know by now, Mama or Nan had many talents, but what you may not know is that many of her talents and loves were also passed down to her grandchildren. So before we delve into these talents and loves, I would like to officially welcome our guest. So welcome, TJ, or as Mama called you, Baby Grand. So can you please provide a little bit of background information about you and your relationship connection to Mama, Nan, Roanoke, etc.?
Well, thank you for the welcome. As you said, I'm the youngest of one. Stopped at perfection and just said all of this and said, we're good, no more. Um, I am related to Nan through you as my mother. Nan is my grandmother, and I like to say I have a special relationship with Roanoke in general because I would never officially live there, but all of our families there, and I would go up there every year for 3 to 5 months at a time for about a 10-year span. And so I got to know the land, the people, the culture, the nuances, and I've gotten to spend a lot of time up there.
Good. I do remember one of the reasons why I started, it just now dawned on me. One of the reasons I started sending you back every year, because one year you were maybe 3 and we were riding out to Roanoke and we had gotten, to where it curves right before we get to Mom and Daddy's house. And there were some cows in the pasture. I think it was on the Williams property. And I was like, TJ, do you know what that is? And I don't know, usually horses. It was something that wasn't cows. And I thought, oh no, he needs to spend some time. Yeah, he needs
Um,
to spend some
I
time.
would like to refer back to what you said. I was 3.
Yeah, I'm just saying that made
Expectations have
me
always been high. Just saying.
that made me know, oh no, he needs to spend some time in the country. So that's where that came from. But thank you for sharing that. Now I'm going to read this poem to Spiller, and anyway, it's about you, but it can be found in the book From My Heart to Yours. And again, all the poetry books can be found on Amazon by simply typing in Margaret Curl. So I'm going to read the poem again. It's entitled The Spiller. I went into the kitchen and rolled into a ball was a good washcloth, not clean at all. I picked it up and it went slack, and all through it were streaks of black. The guilty person was my grandson. This is what that boy had done. On the floor, he'd spilled some tea, and like kids do, hadn't told me. He got a good scolding, I hate to say, but he'll never forget that day. If he ever spills anything anymore, he'll not use a washcloth to wipe up the floor. The Spiller by Margaret Naomi Curl.
Oh, my wife is gonna hold this against me.
Well, first of all, do you remember that incident?
No, I do not. Honestly, I don't.
Well, I believe based on the picture that was in there, and it was when we were living. Do you remember we lived in a duplex, the one on Alderbrook Drive in Austin?
Yes, ma'am, I
That
do.
that was, I think, the last place we lived before we moved to Florida. But it happened there because for whatever reason, Mama had come to Alderbrook to stay with us, probably during one of my surgeries. And that's when that happened. And that spawned her creativity to where she wrote The Spiller, and that was about you.
That's I didn't do it for me. I did it for the creative juices for Nan.
Okay, you did it for the book, so it can
I
have
did it for the book.
woman in the book. Okay, well, you were a visionary. Okay, anyway, but you had a unique relationship with both mama and daddy, because again, you were born in Kentucky, but we moved away when you were about I don't think you were quite two, or maybe you were a little over two.
Mhm.
So as you mentioned before, you would spend the summers up there. So I would think most of your memories were when you spent your summers in Kentucky. Um, Now I know they lived in the house where Billy and Eunice live now, the house out in Roanoke. But do you remember the old house at all?
My first memory of the old house, I don't at all, but one of the summers that I went to go stay, Uncle Kenny would just walk me up the road, and I think there was a point where it was still standing, um, because he went to go pick blackberries and it was kind of close over there, and he said, "Hey, this is the old house." I had no idea that's what it was. My memories of that house very faint. I don't remember that house at all.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't think I'm trying to think if you ever even went in it, but I know it was still standing. But I
mhm.
would, after they moved out, there is no way I would have stepped foot in that house.
Yeah, I when I saw it standing, I could see why.
Exactly. It was on its last legs. Okay, so let's kind of shift to what talents and loves do you believe you inherited from mom?
Oh, uh, so many to count, but I would say that the two main ones are just her love of people. I enjoy just talking with people and just being around people. Um, and just watching her do it in practice, and it's like, oh, okay, that's how you can get people to just kind of just be involved. But I think my other main one is my love of puzzles, my love of logic. As you know, as you stated before, and I didn't realize, Nan was a valedictorian
Yes.
of the class. I didn't know, but now it all makes sense given the way that she would educate us by not educating us, and just the way that she would create puzzles, and we would have competitions of puzzles. I'm like 11 and we're just making puzzles, and it was a way to pass the time in Roanoke when you had ABC, NBC, I'm sorry, Channel 3, Channel 11, Channel 32,
And that was it. Those are the three channels. And
and
maybe
static,
PBS. Yeah, maybe Channel 4 if the antenna came in.
and static. And on the times where I didn't want to watch the 36th episode of the Andy Griffith Show, we had to pass the time out in the country with, as you mentioned, Andy Drive. And so we had to do something. And so puzzles was a way for us to kind of bond and just pass time and just marvel at the creativity that Dan showed.
Well, I'm going to share three of those puzzles that I found. That not the puzzle books, because I remember she carried a puzzle book everywhere she went. And for a while there, I remember you would buy puzzle books. You carried puzzle books everywhere you went. And I think you got that from Mama. But
Still
these,
do.
what I'm getting, do you? I didn't realize that.
Still do. Still have them. It's a way to pass time.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Well, I'm getting ready to share three puzzles. And if I can get to them, hold on.
Should
Yeah, patience is a virtue.
a drum roll to build the moment?
Ah, no, no,
Okay.
no building moment
Okay.
necessary. But since I am, yeah, since this is a what do you call it? a budgeted podcast. I don't have anyone to run things for me. I'm trying to run everything myself from here. So, okay. So it should pop up any second now.
There it is.
And I'm going to zoom in on it, but this is the first one. But as you can see, this one says word search puzzle by Margaret Curl. She did all this by hand. And this particular one is my 12 grandchildren and one great grandchild. Again, words are forward, backward, vertical, horizontal, and diagonal. And some words can overlap others. I mean, she gave you all of the things. But look, she did all of those by hand. Nicole, Steve, Jamie, Ebony, TJ, Jeremy, Scott, Jamel, Logan, Nikki, Travis, and Jace.
I would like to say not this is not in chronological order of I just want to point that out.
Yes, you are correct at all. Like I say, but who, well, Mama did. I was gonna say, who has the time, the patience to sit down and put all these letters to where, you know, it looks just like the puzzle book, but it's handwritten.
It's handwritten and they all line up and also because I've seen where she would create these like as you could tell, but this is no ruler. This is not on like lined paper. Like this is just a blank sheet of paper. And she kind of you could see in the margins like she made her own lines.
Oh yeah, I'm just now seeing that.
And so, but this is just a blank sheet. This is like unlined paper that she would make this on.
Wow. And you mentioned about like her teaching us, and we didn't know she was teaching us. Exactly the same thing about this one. This is another puzzle. And Mama would do this with us a lot, the kids, as we were younger, because she would do sentences, leave blanks, and then tell us what Bible verse to find it in. Now, this particular word search puzzle, you will see that these are 12 jewels mentioned in Exodus 28:17-20 of the King James Version. You know, I'm not even going to attempt a couple of these words because I don't even know how to pronounce them, but who knew that this is what she did to stimulate? You know, so you would go to Exodus to see, are these words really in there?
Yeah, what's a carbuncle?
What's a burl?
Yeah, what's a burl? What's a ligure? Like
I gotta say,
what
I don't know, but her mind was so sharp that this and see, it's more prevalent on this one. You were talking about her homemade lines to the side because it was not lined paper at all. Now, these two are only examples of the word search puzzles. I have another one here that is an example of, this is the key. This is the word key. So I use this one because it has your name in the very first one. But can you find the 12 musical instruments? Some are abbreviations and their sentence, and it's brilliant to me. It's just brilliant. Look, I saw TJ Percell over at his friend's house. A cello. Who knew? I mean, look at them.
So many. She would do this with states,
yes,
capitals, books of the Bible. This is awesome.
But the sentences, but they made so much
sense. Make sense, right? Yeah, that's the thing.
The alcoholic's fate was sad. Rum was his weakness. Drum, what? Chip, Ian, Oliver, and I were all good friends. No, mother, look at this.
Paul Bunyan's axe was huge. Yes, it was.
Right. And then because she said some of them were abbreviated. So the sax is abbreviated. And then I think there's a uke on here. Look, I won't eat my beef if Ernie doesn't eat his. 5. Look, Look at this. The new boy in class is John Harmon. I can't see why all the girls think he's so great. Harmonic. Brilliant.
I mean,
Brilliant.
she's beyond, well beyond her time.
Yes, I guess, and all of these were handwritten. This was not anything that, today everybody has apps and everything that you can make things with. Mama did not have that.
Uh-uh.
She did all this by hand. She did all this from her mind. Her mind was just that creative. So
I've go ahead.
I'm saying, so now I'm gonna shift a little bit because um like I have said many, many times, you can't say mama without saying daddy, Margaret without Howard, Nan without
Real
Pat.
quick, before you go on to Pat, I do
Okay.
think all of that, I think that's a credit to one of the reasons I got into law school was because I did really well on the logic games that most people don't like, and that's putting it very nicely. Not pointing you out singly. Um, but I think because of the love of just logic and putting stuff together and logic problems and create, she had me creating cryptograms when I was like 12. And we
Wow.
would just write cryptograms to each other. If you don't know what a cryptogram is, it's like a letter stands for another letter, and you have to decipher the code, and each one has a different code, and it's crazy. But all of that I think is a credit to Nan for giving me that way of thinking so that I can apply that not just in law school, but when I did end up teaching and having to reach other people, all of that is a credit to Nan because she was the prototype to show us how to do it.
Yes. And she was able to reach so many different people on so many different levels. It didn't matter. But
Hmm.
thank you for sharing that, because especially the cryptogram, because what I'm just now relating that to what it was probably like. Remember when Ralphie got the decoder ring? I mean the decoder on
It's exactly
Christmas
what it
Story,
is.
because he was having the turn, and then he was,
It's
wow,
the exact same thing, but except there was no like key.
you have to do it to
You just
yourself.
learned how to recognize word patterns and vowel patterns. And okay, this has to be an E because there's a lot of them. And so there was no hint.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's the same thing as uh Little Orphan Annie.
Wasn't orphan. Anyway, Ralphie. Okay, so now let's get to all the summers you spend in Kentucky, or Mama and Daddy. Uh, we would go back a lot, but are there any specific stories that you would like to share with the audience that you remember from your time in Roanoke?
Oh, I mean, There's one, there's one specific one I would like to. I might save that one. I think not just the story, but just the overall way of watching how Nan and Pap were so different, but they worked well. They were different for each other, and that, Pap was big in going to church. Like Pap was big on, and Nan didn't drive, and Pat drove, and they had to drive from Roanoke to Upton. Um, and this is pre like trafficy times. And church would start at like, I don't know, he had to be there at like 9, let's say, I don't know, 9. And so Pap out the car at 6:30,
To the horn.
um, honking the horn, scared that they're going to be late to get to church in 2.5 hours, and just watching Nathan, Howard, and just take her time and just the patience of a saint. And um, but just that dynamic of just how antsy he was, how patient she was. Um, One of my favorite moments is actually when they were down in Florida visiting us. I think it wasn't for my graduation.
It was for
For
T's graduation, probably.
it was T's graduation. And just the video of Pap just gnawing on that corn. Pap didn't have teeth, but he was eating corn on the cob and he was just getting it. And just the joy in his face of just
Yeah, yeah, he would do that. Daddy could bite into an apple, and Daddy could bite into like a raw onion, like he had teeth, like he had teeth.
who knew? Who knew? Now I wish now that I have a bigger appreciation for it, I wish I would have taken more of an interest when Pap watched wrestling. Because back then I wasn't into wrestling a lot. Like that was before I got into it. But just watching him, I mean, Pap ran an 8-minute match himself, and Pap
He would,
get him, get him, get him. Watch out for the chair. Watch out.
he would. Uh,
And
I
I was
forgot that
like,
you saw that. Yeah, because he
"Ah, ah,
like,
ah, ah."
oh, that was hilarious.
Happy, you throwing hands yourself?
You know, he
Where's the other guy?
was.
But just, but just Pap's joy. I can't tell the donut thing. I can't. I
You know what?
want.
I'm gonna have to get, like, I got all of the siblings back on. I'm gonna have to get all the grandchildren back on because I know Jeremy remembers that one too. So you all can tell that one with the group grand. That's not gonna be till season 2, but you have to tell that story about the donut.
I will save it for then. It's
It,
way too good to. It has to be shared in a public space. Like it's
you're right. It's hilarious. So you that's a hint. You all stay tuned for season 2 because that story will be shared. Now
cliffhanger.
we're getting through some time, so I'm gonna just go through some pictures quickly. Most of these I have shared some before, but I wanted to share them because you were in them, and then you didn't have an opportunity to say anything about them. So I want you to have an opportunity to say something about these pictures, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay?
I,
And time flies because we've been on here like 30 minutes or something already.
this is better than Facebook. I can actually comment on these.
Yeah.
Um. Oh wow. Oh, that's
I don't even remember the pony's name, but look, here's Daddy.
mhm.
This is you.
Look at me.
I say you had been maybe a year or a little older or less than a year. I can't even tell how old you were. You were very young. And then
Mhm.
Jeremy and Jamie. But do you remember riding ponies out there? Do you remember?
I remember not there, but I do remember Uncle Billy had a pony named Daisy. And I
Okay,
do remember riding Daisy, um, maybe when I was like 7, maybe. Um, wow, look at us. Look at that. Look
I
at that
know.
picture
And then
right
again, this
there.
is in front of the house that they lived in, the house that Billy and Eunice live in now. And this is a similar picture.
Wow. I do not remember this at all.
Yes. So
Oh, wow.
look, Scott,
Scott,
there's you and Jeremy.
I will say this, as a credit to you, who else is riding on a pony in a polo shirt? I'm just saying, collared shirt, suited and booted. No, I appreciate that. But wow, where was this taken?
It had to been taken somewhere out in Roanoke. I can't even tell how old you were right there. Maybe 5-ish.
That might be Daisy then.
It could be. It very
That
well
might
may
be.
be.
Wow.
But like I said, but there are 2 pictures. I didn't realize I had 2 pictures of you on a pony. And there you go.
There we go.
Now,
Ah,
this is your high school graduation.
ah. That's one of my favorite pictures.
Mine too. Mine too. I love that because Mama was able to come down to Lakeland at the time for your graduation. Now, Daddy was still living, but Daddy was sick to the point where he couldn't come. But Mama said she wouldn't miss it for anything, and she didn't. Mama came down there,
Oh,
and that's you and her at your high school graduation.
oh, wow.
I know. This is what you were talking about as far as when they all came down. And this was for T's graduation in 96.
Yes, it was.
Um, Daddy, is that Mama,
Rocking the
Agnes,
wig.
here's you.
They would rock that wig in public.
I guess, wouldn't she? Oh, I have another one to show you at the very end because this is when they were still in Florida. Because Daddy was like, okay, Daddy liked them. Anyway, this was in front of Greater Bethel Baptist Church in Tampa. We all
Hmm.
went to church that Sunday. Okay, next one.
Oh,
This is when Mom and Daddy celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. Again, Daddy couldn't make it to the church. He was in the hospital. So then we moved the party over to the hospital. So there's Mama and Daddy and what, four of their grandchildren and one great grandchild.
oh, wow.
Look at that. I
Wow.
love that. This is Jace.
Oh, wow. That is Jace.
That's Jace, right? And Jamel, Nicole, Jamie, and you. And of course,
Oh,
Mama and Daddy.
that, I just like that. Wow. Is that the last picture of me, Jamie, Dan, and Pap in the same
Yeah,
picture?
yeah. Because Daddy passed away in September.
Oh, that was, I forgot where I said it, but somebody was like, that's my first year of college. That was a hard year.
Yeah.
That was a
Well,
hard
if you
college.
remember the day after, I swear, I still think Daddy held on until after your birthday so he wouldn't pass on your birthday because he passed on September 27th.
I know.
Yeah, you turned 18, and then on the 27th, he passed away.
Mm.
And it's like Daddy held on. I've shown
Oh, look at
this one
Pat.
before, but I absolutely love that picture.
Pat looking sharp.
Isn't he? Look at him with that's a three-piece suit. What?
That's what I'm saying. Pat with a three-piece.
I just, like I said, you can tell it's worn, but like I said, there are some families that don't have pictures like this. And I'm so glad that that's one of the things I took from Mama is that I am a pack rat when it comes to pictures. You know, I
Mhm.
am moving a lot to digital, but I do still have some VHS tapes, as you well know. But I will get those
That's
over
not
to
on. Yeah.
digital too. But I just wanted to share that. And then I think this is the last picture. And that this is at our house in our the first house we had, sorry, in Tampa. And I had cut part of this off because you can't see it. The cuffs that Daddy had on them jeans, they were about a 4-inch cuff.
Oh, because that's your room.
That's my room, right, at the house. And you see out the back there, that was the pool. That's the
Mhm.
pool cage. And then Mama had changed the wig. Daddy liked this wig.
Yes, he
Yeah,
did.
yeah. He was like, Mama, Mama. Okay, whoops. Okay, yeah,
Okay, okay, Pap.
yeah.
Okay.
Let's not do that. But look, that was June the 1st of 1996, and they
Oh,
came down for T's graduation.
Pap looking like a G right there.
Howdy, look at him with them blind mellow jelly glasses on.
Like an album cover.
Oh, but those are the memories. Those are the pictures.
Oh my gosh, that oh, wow.
I know. Like I say, but it goes so fast. You know, you think, okay, this can't go so fast, but it does. So, are there any final points you would like to share before we wrap up?
I credit both Dan and Pap in a lot of the backbone of our family. pretty much, and just everything that we have all done, all of our talents is a direct reflection of them, both of them as a tag team,
Mhm.
in wrestling terms, and just everything that I strive to be is for them because they just, as it said, many different times, a common theme. They didn't have money. They
Right,
didn't have a lot of money. They didn't have any money. But nobody would tell, like you couldn't tell that just because of how they made other people feel and how they felt about each other. And you can't deny the love. You can't deny what God is doing in person. And
right.
he was shining through them at their best days, on their worst days. And it's the love that I try to show other people, wife, my children, my dog who heard him barking earlier. But just all of it is just a direct reflection of them. So I'm just very thankful to be a part of that. I can say I witnessed this live.
Wonderful. Yeah, because a lot of people have not, and just sharing those memories that you did, thank you for doing that because people who may not have had an opportunity to meet them, they can feel like they know them through our stories of them. So again, thank you for joining us today. And again, thank you all for tuning in. Now, you don't want to miss an episode of Memories of Margaret. Again, please subscribe, whether you're on YouTube or Spotify. Also, like us on Facebook, the Facebook page, Memories of Margaret. And we appreciate your feedback. Now, if you would like to be a guest on a future episode that's going to be in season 2, please leave a message on the Facebook page, Memories of Margaret, or send an email to memoriesofmargaretnaomi@gmail.com. Now, again, we're on the downside of season 1, so thank you all for continuing to tune in every other week. But in the next episode, we're going to have another guest and another grandchild who's going to share their memories of Margaret. So until next time, make memories with your family. Thank you.